Cues.
Hello, thank you for joining me for another episode of Mind Cues. Today, we're going to talk about the disappearance of Barbara Newhall Follett. Let's get started. Barbara Newhall Follett was born in Hanover, New Hampshire on March 4th, 1914. Her father, Wilson Follett, was a literary editor, critic, and university lecturer. Her mother, Helen Thomas Follett, was a children's writer. Barbara had an elder half-sister named Grace from her father's first marriage, as well as a younger sister, Sabra Follett, who actually turned out to be the first woman admitted to Princeton's grad school in 1961. Barbara was homeschooled by her mother and showed an early aptitude for reading and writing. She began to write her own poetry by the age of 4. Barbara was an imaginative and intelligent child. By age 7, she began to write her own imaginary world, Farksolia, and it even had its own language called Farksu. In 1923, when she was 8 years old, Barbara wrote a book originally called The Adventures of Ypperstep. That manuscript ended up getting burned in a house fire, so she rewrote it, renamed it The House Without Windows, and her father helped get it published. In 1928, when Barbara was 14, her father abandoned her mother for another woman. Barbara was devastated. By age 16, she was working as a secretary in New York City and continued writing manuscripts. In the summer of 1931, when she was 17 years old, Barbara met a guy named Nickerson Rogers. They spent the summer of 1932 walking the Appalachian Trail. Then they sailed to Spain and continued walking in Mallorca and through the Swiss Alps. After settling in Brookline, Massachusetts, the couple married in 1934. Barbara was 20 years old. At this time, Barbara still wrote, but her work was no longer in favor with publishers. Although she was happily married in the beginning, by 1937, Barbara had started expressing dissatisfaction with her marriage in letters that she wrote to her close friends. By 1938, she came to believe that Rogers was being unfaithful to her, and she became depressed. According to her husband, on December 7, 1939, Barbara left their apartment after a quarrel. She had $30 in her pocket, and she was never seen again. Rogers did not report Barbara's disappearance to the police for 2 weeks. He claimed that he was waiting for her to return. Yeah, right. 4 months after notifying police, he requested a missing persons bulletin be issued. The bulletin was issued under Barbara's married last name of Rogers, and so it went unnoticed by the media. In 1952, 13 years after Barbara disappeared, her mother, Helen, began insisting that Brookline police investigate the matter more thoroughly. Why would she wait 13 years? Okay. The mother, Helen, had become suspicious of Rogers after she discovered that he had made little effort to find his wife. In a letter to Nickerson, she wrote, "All of this silence on your part looks as if you had something to hide concerning Barbara's disappearance. You cannot believe that I shall sit idle during my last few years and not make whatever effort I can to find out whether Bar is alive or dead, whether perhaps she is in some institution suffering from amnesia or a nervous breakdown." Barbara Follett's body was never found, and there was no evidence indicating or excluding foul play ever produced. The date and circumstances of her death have never been established. That is just sad. That's all for this week. Until next time, survive your mind.